and welcome back. I found an article from joincake.com. That's the same website that episode 2 was based on or taken from. And it has some tips to help with guilt. So I'll share that with you. I'll discuss whether this is something that I'm doing, this is something that I want to do, this is something that I will try to do. And yeah, we'll see where it goes from there. So tips for coping with grief and guilt and regret and all those stuff. The first one is get organized. So basically getting organized means putting each emotion and each experience, each regret, each feeling, each scenario, putting them in separate boxes and dealing with them over time, because if you deal with them once, if you try to deal with them once, it can be too overwhelming. And so the recommendation is to, prioritize and deal with them in the order that best suits you or that works best for you. And I guess I'd say I would say I did that unconsciously, but consciously as well. But I wouldn't have looked on it as, I'm gonna deal with these emotions as a matter of dealing with my guilt or my grief or shame or whatever. I think I just knew that, alright, I don't care about anything else right now but dealing with this aspect of my life or this feeling or that feeling. So, there was a time when I wasn't responding to persons that text me. There's times when I was going counseling for certain things that I was going through in my life specifically. So, I practice being organized in how I deal with my emotions, especially this aspect of guilt. I don't think I have dealt with it going to my counselor as yet. I don't think so, because I still haven't been to my counselor. But we're getting there. I should be going probably next week. God's willing. All being well, I should be going next week. So yeah, that's being organized. The next one is assessing the situation. So this one deals with looking at the situation from a rational perspective and being objective about cause of death and whether I directly play a part in it, and balancing that out with how I feel. That way I don't turn something that somebody else did into something that I think I directly did or strongly caused to happen or something like that. And I would say that's where I am right now, assessing it. I'd say that's what I have been doing. I haven't taken all the blame, but I would say there are things that I realize now when I interact with people and hear about their situation. I approach it a little bit differently from how I approached that one, unless it's new, because there's some stuff that I learned about people that new to me and I don't know how to handle those things. And so I think I handle those things a bit similar to how I handle what happened or what was happening at the time. Forgive me if I sound low. Forgive me. Number 3 is taking a fresh look. So this section is asking me to take the positives from, the relationship I had with my parents. And I would say I do that. I would say that recognizing that there was a period in my life where I wasn't holding on to things and I had reconciled with them. And I was, being a better person um, to them. I think that has lessened the guilt, the feeling of guilt that I would have experienced. And as I said at the funeral, in my speech, I said that I knew or had the feeling that my father was going to pass. I never had it at the time that I started to reconcile, but one of the driving factors to reconciling with him was knowing that I wouldn't want to be in a position where I would have to deal with after the fact, knowing that I never made amends or never said sorry, never let go of disappointments and stuff like that. And I think, I don't know if I would be here right now if they had passed and I never let go of different emotions that I had or I never reconciled with them. I think I'd lose my mind. But that pushed me to work and to bring things to God and talk to God about our feeling, go counseling, talk to people. That's what that realization forced me to do. And so I definitely have positives in my relationship with them, and a negative. One of the drivers for that guilt as well was in relation to knowing that I never got a goodbye message from them or I love you message. Um, I think for that week, as I said, I probably said before, I never spoke to my father that week because for me, oh, this guy not calling me for this whole time, not asking me if I want food. Thank God, I need some freedom from him. But I saw him during the week. I never spoke to him, but I saw him when we were leaving out in the morning. I could look down the through the house into his room, and I saw them telling him goodbye. I felt bad at the time too, because I was like, yeah, see you, guy, and I'm going in there, don't want to talk to you, because every single day this guy was bothering me about food or if I alright, stuff like that. So for that week when he never messaged me, I was like, nice, that's good. But no, I have that to deal with where I could have, at least loved him and stuff before. So that's something that pushed the guilt. With my mom, the day before she died, she called me and asked me if I wanted to go home with her. And she was a bit adamant that I go home with her. Not adamant, but like she sounded cautious about whether sure I want to stay back because I was doing exercising. And I was like, yeah, man, I'll be alright. But I felt extremely nervous after talking to her. I felt like something was going to happen to me. Like she was sounding so weird. So because of those two things, because you never get to say your goodbyes, that guilty feeling, that feeling of guilt, regret, it working you. But as I said, I had a good relationship with them. Um, a funny story to me was my father was painting the house that I'm staying at, helping out the person that owns the house, and so my father has this thing where he don't want to go into anybody business. So he used to say that if we come into our house and disrespect us, that we should throw him out of the house, all of that stuff. So when I had moved in and he was painting the house, I could see it on him that he never want to come inside because he never want to, I guess, invade my space. But so I have two bathrooms. One other bathroom on the outside not working, but the other one in my bedroom. and so it wasn't working one outside, so he had to come inside, and was the most awkward looking man I ever seen in my entire life. And the whole time I watching him and saying, "Watch what this man not going go inside. He not going to want to go inside. He going to feel weird about going inside." Um, and to watch him go inside and look around to see, what this young guy putting together for himself. Now that he finally come out of the house, it was nice for me, and I think that was as a nice experience. Knowing that he never want to go in there because he did want to give us our space. So that was a nice experience for me. I can't explain why my father that weird. Of course, he go through stuff, personal life. So it's just watching him being awkward going inside, and I wasn't going to tell him, "Oh, it's okay." I wanted to watch him be awkward about something that I knew that he was going to be awkward with. So looking at stuff in a fresh way, is it a bit easy for me. Just that, they go on. So the next tip is to ask for forgiveness. So they recommend that, in order to get things off your chest, you should have interactions or communication, one-way communications with them. And just looking at the list, there's definitely one thing I know I have done so far. But the first thing to do, or the first suggestion in asking for forgiveness, is to write a letter to your loved one and reading it out loud. I've written 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, probably 8 letters, probably to 8 in total, and all of them as just a mess, writing all of them as as on the bed and just texting and put on the phone and hug up the pillow and just everything, nose knot, everything bubbles, choking, and just back to the typing, and can't even see because my eyes swollen, and just typing and typing. But I texted them on WhatsApp. I think I texted my father a bit more than my mother because that was more of a relationship that had a fresh perspective on, in terms of as more actively working on a relationship with my father during the last 2 years than with my mom, because I think working on my mother, the relationship I had with my mother was it started a bit earlier. Yeah, so in writing to my father, I was as a mess, as just completely a mess, just a mess, horrible mess. But it was good. It was refreshing, especially the fact that it allowed me to pull on the emotions that I had that I wouldn't necessarily want to express. Um, so yeah, I wrote letters to them, and yeah, that's something that I have done. Oh, the next one is taking a long walk alone, so you can have some one-on-one time with your loved one. I'd say long walks. I do that when I be going to work, coming from work, going to different places. I'd say I did that. I'd say I definitely um like for one. I think I've mentioned it before. I'm not sure if this podcast show is the one that I mentioned it on, or my WhatsApp podcast show. But when I stood up sometime earlier this year, and walking home, I had a conversation with myself, about the fact that I couldn't share that with my mom, and I was, a bit, not a bit, as I felt horrible. I felt utterly horrible, and I think I shared that in in a sense with her at the time. Um, you know, yeah, I don't even want to get into it, but yeah, that was an awful experience that I couldn't share. Yeah. The next one is reconnecting with others closely associated with your loved ones who died. Oh, that I definitely forced to do, and I don't want to do because that side of me want to disassociate myself from everybody that remind me of them. So, but it's something that I do. Whether it be that folks reach out to me or I reach out to folks, I do that sometimes. Not as much as I probably should. But I don't want to feel bad or sad or whatever. I don't want to have to do feel it. So sometimes I avoid it. Sometimes my older brother might reach out to me and say, "Hey, how you doing? How are you week? Whatever." And I'm like, yeah, whatever. Because the thing that going to just stand out is that if I feel like this, yeah, you feel like as well, and I do like knowing that, they feel like. So sometimes I avoid it strongly, but yeah, um, that's life. Righting the wrongs that you created, if possible, even after death. Righting the wrongs would be what I started to do 3 years ago, 4 years ago, was working on my character, addressing character flaws that I had. And so I think that's one way of righting the wrongs. Being honest, being more open, transparent with myself. Doing stuff like that um, has helped me to right wrongs, I would say. Number 5, honor your loved ones. Number 5, honor your loved ones. So I super like off right now because there's a segment that wasn't recorded. So that segment, I'll put it on the screen somewhere, all over the screen probably. But I don't have the proper audio file for that one. So if it sounds bad, I apologize. Yeah, I can't even go back over it because it was not scripted. Yeah, but apologies for that segment. Tip number 5 is honoring your loved ones. It basically saying you should hold a memorial service or something like that for them, say some words about them. I will never do that ever. The only time I'll have service for my parents would be last year, and that's it. We'll never go to a memorial service. Don't take offense to it if you have a memorial service and I don't attend it. I'm not going to any of those services. I don't like funerals. Don't care for them. Yeah, and this medium is probably how I have my memorial service, by talking about them. Well, I'll never go to one where people telling me about my parents. I don't want to hear it at all because that just make me feel bad. I won't say sick my stomach, but it going to make me feel bad. And I'd say sick my stomach just to be toxic. Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, that's number 5. We're not working with number 5. Scratch that off the list. Yeah. Number 6 is donating to charity. So for this one, they recommend like donating money in their name to a charity of a choice, or starting a scholarship fund. Yeah, I don't want to do any of those 2 things because I don't want to call their name. Still don't want to acknowledge their death like that. So it's a good idea, but it's not something that I'm going to do. Nah, no. Probably like in like 5 years time, 20 years, 100 years time, probably. Number 7 is connecting with loved ones, and I guess this is the same as the previous tip number 5, I think. But it seems like this one talking more about connecting with loved ones that you have not been connected with due to probably like what you call it, probably you had a fight with somebody or something, and the relationship strain, stuff like that. But I would say that there aren't any loved ones that I have that I dislike. Yeah.
Really, nigga?
Yeah. Anyways, whatever. I don't think that's something that is an issue, right?
Stop the cap.
So, number 8. Live a better life. That's the suggestion. I'm not even going to read what it says. Alright, let me read what it says. Jeez. So one thing they suggest is to tell people that in your life that you love them and stuff like that. Treat them nicely, blah, blah, blah. And I think I'm doing that. I think at this point I don't want to read anymore. Next one. If you're under the influence when you cause an accident, start living a more responsible life. Give your time to educate others of the peril. I guess it's in make people more aware of how to live better and stuff like that. What to do when faced with difficulty. And I think that's what I have been doing. I think I have been a bit more vocal. The person that I talk to kind of tell them, hey, I need to go get some help. Or listen to what they're talking about and giving the best advice that I can give them at the time. If they want to accept it, I try nowadays not to force people to talk and to share what they're going through and stuff like that. But I try to be open and welcoming. If you feel like to talk, you can come to me. Yeah, I try and do stuff like that. And then they say if I was overall bad person or parent, I should, try and be a better sibling, blah 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 blah. And I think that's something that I have been doing or been forced to do. So yeah, I'd say I'm following the live a better life, and I was doing that from the jump about 4 years ago. So yeah, that's number 8. Number 9 is to seek support. So number 9 definitely is something that I have been working on from before, and I think I'm continuing it. I just need to make that call again to reestablish that connection. But yeah, I've been talking, I've been sharing, I've been, asking for help whenever I need it, stuff like that. So I've been doing that. Number 10 and final is forgiving yourself. This one might be a bit much. So I'll just read it word for word for what it's saying, and yeah, I'll assess it during or after. When you learn to forgive others, it becomes easier to forgive yourself. In order to forgive yourself, you need to be able to demonstrate and you need to be able to demonstrate and understand the following. Empathy. Having self-empathy means treating yourself with kindness and not being so critical of oneself. It's easy to show empathy towards others and more difficult to show it to yourself because you're your own worst critic. Everyone makes mistakes and no one's perfect. When you retrain yourself to think along these terms, you realize that forgiveness is possible. Definitely lack empathy for myself. And definitely I'm my own worst critic. Working on it for sure. And yeah. Kindness. Showing kindness to yourself also means not being so critical of yourself or judging yourself too harshly. It's also something that I'm prone to do. Judge myself harshly, super critical of myself. But I am conscious of it, have been conscious of it for probably 6 years and working on it for probably 3. So, yeah. Compassion. Self-compassion includes recognizing, cultivating, and forgiving yourself. It also includes being understanding towards yourself when you fall, make a mistake, or suffer. Yeah, definitely not compassionate to myself, I just overall like harsh on myself. And so I guess that's why it's a bit difficult to be forgiving of myself and the part that I possibly played in it, and I guess that's why it's somewhat easy to feel guilty about what happened. Next one is understanding. This includes understanding your strengths and weaknesses, your fears and motivators, and your tolerances and boundaries. I think I have been understanding those things. It wasn't until like probably 4 years ago that I learned about boundaries and I started to live a more purposeful life in setting boundaries and creating boundaries and acknowledging the boundaries of others as well. That's something that I lack completely. I still knew that people had boundaries and stuff, but I wasn't respectful of the topic of boundaries. Not as in like it's like super awful or I break people boundary excessively, but I was just selfish and only concerned about myself. Yeah. But I have been learning about that, learning about my fears and my motivators, my strengths and weaknesses, and my tolerances. So that's a positive one. I can give myself 1 out of 4. Yeah, I give myself 1 out of 4 for that section. But yeah, that will be it for the tips. It is a difficult thing to go through, difficult experience to have. But I know with time, as I've seen so far, that time heals, and the more I remain purposeful in what I'm doing to become better and to heal, then I become a bit more hopeful about all of those stuff. But yes, until next time, if you're experiencing any guilt in your own personal lives, that you'll use those tips that I shared to address it and to work on it. And I hope that eventually you'll be able to forgive yourselves. And so with all of that, thank you for watching this episode. I don't know if I made it a 2-part episode, but thank you for watching nonetheless. This is Honestly Though, the podcast show, and I am your host, Joel Ramsey. Until next time. take each day take each situation that you experience in your life a day at a time. Don't overwhelm yourself with change. Take it in stages and you'll be alright. And get help. Talk to somebody. Yeah. I'm finished. Oh my god. I am